This SoonerScoop.com video is streaming in crystal clear 4K resolution on YouTube thanks to Enjoy Vision in Oklahoma City. Don't miss a moment on or off the field. Make every day a highlight with LASIK at Enjoy Vision. Enjoy Vision. This is where SoonerScoop LASIK.
Hello and welcome to the Family Business. I'm Joe Castiglione Jr. alongside Isaac Stoops. Today's guest, you should recognize him, a SoonerScoop alum, a SoonerScoop great, a man who's helped build SoonerScoop, Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah, thanks for joining the show.
Absolutely. Glad to be here, guys.
Man, it's kind of a role reversal, you know. We're in the SoonerScoop studio. You're on the other side. What do you remember about the IT show? Take us through the IT show you had here.
Man, so NIL had just popped off, man. And I wasn't, too much into it because, it was the first time it happened. I was kind of worried about how scouts would look at it and whatnot. And then Carrie approached me one time through Twitter, I believe, or so, with the idea of like our own like podcast / show, after every once a week after every game or whatnot. And I love the idea because I'm a people person. I love to talk. I like to do stuff like this, interact. I love to answer questions and stuff. And it was honestly like one of the highlights of my career, man. And I remember the building that you guys are in. I remember when it was first, there, empty essentially. And I just could see the vision. And I'm glad to see where it is now with you two guys, leading the helm with it, man. So I'm glad to be back.
And I was, transitioned a lot, and you were one of the first, people to have, a deal. Did you guys discuss that in the locker room at the time? Like you said, you didn't know how it would be perceived or what the overall, persona of it's going to be, especially talking about, games and everything.
Right. Yeah, we talked about it in the locker room, and specifically with mine, guys and coaches were encouraging of it because they didn't think it was distracting. It's still related to football, and it's still it kept me within the confines of my own space because I did it, via through online, and I was in my own home when I did it. And so, they were all encouraging of it. Then other little things that were outside NIL things that didn't, revolve around, OU or anything that was involved with the school. At the time, it was kind of I don't know, man, it could be distracting. It could be, a bad influence. Guys could look at you differently thinking you're distracted. But now in this day and age, just get as much as you can at this point. It's just crazy.
It's free reign now. It seems like everybody has a show, or Kendall Dolby has a YouTube page and actually have John Mateer on it. But you need to stop by if you're ever back in the 405 if you come for a game, because what this is building and becoming is quite astonishing here at SoonerScoop HQ here in Norman. Then I believe we actually have some renderings from the new studio.
Oh, yeah.
Is that right, Carrie?
Yeah, so there's a new studio where the big, that store that was next door?
It was a boutique.
Like the boutique, that women's store.
Oh, yes, I do.
They took that over now, and so they got a new studio coming in.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Right here on the corner, of Campus Corner. So it's cool. The glass is tinted one way, so you can see out, but they can't see in. It's
wow.
Yeah, it's really nice.
That is beautiful.
Little weatherman kind of cutaway scene. You can go and break some film. No, it's going to be unreal. It's been a long process. Carrie's worked extremely hard. Mm-hmm. Got the desk over there now. We actually had to get some film and stuff. But it's going to be really cool because you're going to have that backdrop of historic Campus Corner. Game day, there's going to be people around. You're going to see people bustling in and everything. So it's going to be really cool.
Yeah, probably the one-way glass is a good call because you don't know about drunk kids on game day.
Oh my goodness.
You might have to block out a couple single fingers.
Like the OU Texas bus rides, you get a lot of birds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You might have to get security for that weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably could have a show of just Campus Corner. Just put a camera outside of Campus Corner after dark.
I don't know.
Bloopers and whatnot.
Yeah, but really excited. IT, thanks for coming on. We wanted to talk about a little bit about your OU career first. Such a prominent role, and you're in a transitional time, and it seems like every year is becoming more transitional with the portal, new coaches and stuff like that. But just transition from the last year with Link to BV after you, but. One moment that I kind of wanted to highlight a little bit is kind of the OU Texas comeback. That's each year OU Texas on the schedule. That's the one everybody circles and highlights. But just talk about that comeback. I mean, that was kind of the birth of Caleb Williams, future draft pick, number 1 draft pick. And so kind of talk us about what do you remember about that game?
Oh, man. essentially everything. So, we come out, and that week we prepared the same week as we did every year for Texas and whatnot. And we know how much it means to the state of Oklahoma and to Norman alone, to win that game. And so, we go into that game hot, of course, but that comes with it. And so the first drive, it might have been the first play if I remember exactly. They break that jailbreak.
Yep.
Oh, gone.
Xavier Worthy.
And so, like it's OU Texas. Like last year, we went quadruple overtime. Like anything can happen, OU Texas game. And then they were just honestly putting it on us that first half, man. But our belief never wavered. Like Grinch. People say a lot of things about him, but how he instilled in us mentally, it was a lot. Like in a good way. And then, like you said, Caleb. He came in at the end of that first half. Broke a 70-yard QB draw, I want to say, on fourth down or so, or third down. And then we get into the locker room, and I vividly remember Caleb saying, like, just get me the ball, we'll win the game. Like, defense, get stops, get me the ball, we'll win the game. And I'm looking at Benito. I'm like, all right, this kid's just turned 18. I was like, all right, like let's do our job and let the offense handle the rest. And so we come out in that second half. Coach Grinch and Coach Tibbs slid me in at defensive tackle. First drive, I get a TFL on Bijan Robinson, backed up into their minus 20, and then they punt the ball. We get the ball, and at that point, it's just back and forth. And then I remember, in my opinion, this is what I remember. These are the greatest 4 plays in OU history, and I swear, I always think of this: Marvin Mims, deep ball, corner of the end zone. Next play, 2-point conversion to Drake, and then. Next play, Caleb Williams strip on the kickoff return, and then Kennedy Brooks like direct snap or something. And I think those are the best 4 plays in that sequence ever. And then we win the game. I get on Twitter, I say some stuff, and Instagram, and then we go home, man, and we celebrate.
I forgot about the CK strip, but it cracks me up. You say that about Coach Grinch, because people say what you want about him, but I can just picture him in my head just saying like, all right, give me the hard shit. Like he's probably down there saying that to y'all over and over, man. Yeah, we were talking about someone who's also really fiery. I was talking to him the other day, Perrion. Have you ever played with anyone else like Perrion now in the rest of your career?
No, not at all. Someone with the personality and the character of Perrion, no, man, not at all. I'm thinking, man, you got your divas, like your receivers and defensive backs, but to put it in like Perrion, nah, not at all, man, not one time.
Yeah, talk about like an all off the bus team, like Perrion in a uniform and his helmet, like that's the dude you want coming first off the bus.
Yeah,
and
sure.
He strikes some fear into people.
Still, the Brock Purdy, I think it was a 4th down or something, but when he reversed field and Perrion just killed him, I'm still thank God they didn't call targeting on that. But that was just still one of the hardest hits.
Yeah, especially on the quarterback. Do you still keep up with those guys like J Red or Perrion? And
oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I seen me and J Red. We were in Vegas in February. Perrion, I talked to Perrion about a month ago before OTA started. I still keep in touch with LaRon Stokes, guys, that were on the team. Robert Barnes, I was at his wedding in the Florida Keys a while back. So, yeah, I still keep in touch. Like, guys like that I ended my career with and, like, guys in my 2017 class for sure.
How cool is it to see what Jalen Redmond has done? Last year, he kind of had that breakout year. He finally got his opportunity in the league, and, he made most of it. So, how cool – because you're really close with J-Red. I think your roommates actually – but how cool is it to see J-Red to finally get a shot and start to really capitalize on it?
It was amazing because, I've known J-Red since we were about 17, since we played each other in high school in basketball. And seeing how, well of an athlete he was. And, I remember he got offered to, I think Oklahoma offered him before he even played, a snap of football, I believe. I might be misquoted on that, but somebody did. And guys were confused on why, and I never was. And he got to OU, never played, and to see how good he was and never playing was scary, and then got to the league, had some issues with his health and his blood clots, obviously. And then he got back, got his opportunity, made the roster because he had a great preseason and he was healthy. And that was the most important thing. And at this point, I was like, oh my gosh, if he gets on that field. And then it's he got on the field, he made some plays. And then it was he made some plays, oh, he gets a game ball. Then he gets a game ball, oh, he's starting this game. I was like, oh my goodness, he is tearing the league up. And then I got to when I was with Detroit, obviously we were in the same division, so I got to see him after the game and whatnot multiple times. And now we just keep up with each other in the off season, try to align our schedules up with still hanging out because, we still got to make the most of this time we have, man.
You guys had such like a a good group of defensive guys. You won championships, got drafted. I forgot how many it was that got picked that year. But what do you think it would have looked like under BV after seeing what you have seen from his transition and the defense and stuff?
And man, it's alarming how well and how great his defense can play, man. Like when they're at their best, they're top 4 in the country, top 3 in the country, like in all phases, like run defense, pass defense, takeaways. I mean, points, points allowed. And I think to that year, specifically that 2020 year, and I wish Jay Red would have played that year as well. I think of that year where it was me, Nick Benito, Ronnie Perkins, and Perrion. And I'm like, if we could have had Venables right there, along with Jalen Redmond coming and whatnot. Oh, like we were a good defense that year. Like I think me, Nick, I think we all had double-digit TFLs if I'm not mistaken. And I was like, wow, like, imagine, BV sharpening those tools that we had. And I'm just like, it's scary to think about, man.
I'm trying. Was Coach Kane? Was he you and Nick's coach at the
Yes.
time? Then, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you keep up with him? He's with the Broncos now, so it's kind of funny. Him and Nick are still together, and I'm like, if anybody knew how to like coach Nick, he knew how to coach him.
If anybody did, I was like, Nick, I tell Nick all the time, because me and Nick, I still play the game, and me and Nick, we play the game with each other. And I tell Nick all the time, I'm like, bro, you are so lucky to have Coach Kane. Not even that it's Coach Kane, your college D-line coach be your NFL D. Like, it's crazy. But yeah, Kane, yeah, man. I still keep in touch with Kane from time to time. It's crazy how much he's impacted my career and the change he had on my life, because he got in. That 2020 year was his first year going into that year. And I remember the first thing he ever told me, I'll never forget it. So he just got hired, and we're walking out onto the field for spring ball. We had one spring ball that year because of COVID. We had one practice, and that was it. And before we're walking out on the field, it was like the day before. And he's like, I don't care how much you have or haven't played before. I don't care what the narrative is about you and whatnot. He said, I know and I believe what I see. He said this. He said, who's to say Ronnie Perkins has to start when he gets back? And I'm like, whoa. I was like, wait a minute. And this is when Ronnie was suspended. So obviously my opportunity was there. And he was like, who's to say Ronnie? I was like, Ronnie has led this team in sacks the last 2 years. I was like, Ronnie's going to start. But then, that had me thinking, I was like, I believe what he says. And next thing you know, I started every game that 2020 year. Then they brought Ronnie in, and they're like, look, we want you guys all on the field at the same time. So they put me and Perry on the inside, Nick and Perk on the outside, and it worked out.
What's your thoughts on, because the NCAA has kind of changed the rules, and decriminalize is not the word, but they've taken out the drug testing for marijuana. Is it kind of frustrating to look back on guys like Ramondre and Ronnie who got popped for that, and they had a big chunk of their season, a big chunk of their career that could have affected it did affect their draft position and so on. So what is it like to see that kind of being taken away, and those are guys who got punished for that?
Yeah, it sucks, for guys, and Ronnie's near and dear to my heart because we were close. And I'm not saying Ramondre's not. Ramondre, we were really cool as well. And he's flourishing right now, obviously, in New England, doing great. But really half their season got taken away that year. And I think guys like Ronnie, who went third round after playing 5 games in his last year. And I was like, if he can do that after being suspended, I was like, Ronnie could have easily been late first, second round guy, and that stuff like that. And it could change where you are and whatnot. It could change how coaches view you and stuff. And it could have changed the whole outlook on where he could be at now. And I think of Ramondre as well. And initially it hindered him for sure. And for him to make the most of what he had after that and to sign a new deal last year, I'm very proud and very impressed with what Ramondre is doing. But it does suck because I'm like, there's even guys outside of those two who probably didn't even get a chance to get drafted due to the NCAA changing these rules and whatnot in the NFL. It just sucks for all the people who missed that chance. And, other guys are honestly, benefiting from it.
Yeah, and the NFL took it away too. I forgot about that too.
Yeah.
And it's just weird the way the drug testing works with the NCAA. They test you, I think it's like once a year. I know it's for sure once a year before bowl season, and then maybe once a year.
It's like very I'm pretty sure very cut and dry and direct what it is now. And so to get in trouble for it, you really got you got to really just not be using your head very smart.
It's the same with the NFL. So the NFL, they test for like PEDs, performance enhancement. They test for that year round, year round. But they test for that. They'll tell you. They'll be like, look, the
Before,
first day of fall camp is when they'll start. They're like, we're going to test you guys from August 1st to August 22nd. You only get tested one time. So if you and they're like giving you the answers. And so if you fail, you're like you said, you're just not using your head.
Yeah, it was George Kittle who told me that. I don't know however many years ago when I went to one of his games. Like they give you a window. Surely you can have some discipline during that window just to handle it, and then after that, they treat you like pros, just like adults.
That's
what I mean? Has that kind of off topic or on topic? What has surprised you the most about the NFL? I don't know. I've always heard my dad say, even with the XFL now, like he college is so much different. It's a lot. It's not babysitting, but like there's still college kids. In the NFL, it's like they're gonna treat you like a pro, so you got to act like a pro. Like, has anything been super surprising to you, or vice versa?
Now I'm pretty used to it, but like initially coming in, like the workouts aren't nearly as hard for one. Like it's insane. Like going through like coaching stations, or what they call them mat drills at some other universities. Now that'll never be done ever. You will never in your life ever do that again. The workouts for sure, and like how when they talk about they treat you like adults, like they're serious. Like if you come in late or if you miss something, you won't get yelled at. Teammates won't look at you differently. They'll just fine you, and then after that they'll just try to. If it's too consistent, they'll just replace you.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing too, is they just fine you.
Yeah,
what I'm saying? They don't want an apology. You don't need one. Just it's
that's it. You'll just see 10,000. So on. Like for example, when I was in Cleveland, our DeJuan Jones, he was a offensive tackle drafted out of Ohio State. At this time, he was starting because our starting right tackle got hurt, and he's having a great year. Like he held T.J. Watt to no sacks, no TFLs, and whatnot. And then the next morning, he was late to workouts. Fined him like $11,000, and I'm like, oh my god, this guy just shut down T.J. Watt. So yeah, they don't really care. They're like, hey, you missed, you were late. Like I don't know what to tell you. So that's been like the biggest shock on how like they don't babysit at all.
Yeah, take us through your pro career up to this point. I know you're with the Bengals right now. You played on the active roster a little bit with the Lions, and then of course the Browns before that. But take us through your pro career. Kind of walk us through.
Yeah. So drafted to the Browns, and went in there. Honestly, man, I didn't really know what to expect because in my life, I'm the only person in my family to make it this far as an athletic career aspect of it. And then I just took what I heard from vets and my agent, just stay as healthy as I can through camp, bust my ass, excuse my language, and then just do everything I can. And so my first ever game in the NFL, preseason game, played Jacksonville, had 2 sacks and 3 TFLs. So I was like, oh my God. I was like, I'm about to be Miles Garrett, watch out. And so I had a great preseason my rookie year, made the team, had a good rookie year. I was active for every game, and, I had a good rookie season. And then my second year, like I touched on earlier with Isaac and Kerry, going into that year, I was doing in the summer, OTA is doing well. First preseason game, tore the cartilage and some other stuff in my right knee. And I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, no way. And so had surgery on it. I sat for about 8 or 9 weeks, and, we're almost about midway through the season. They bring me back. I mean, I was still on the team. They never released me. And then I was on the roster still. I was just on practice squad. And at that point, it was the healthiest our defense had ever been. And I was like, well, what are the chances, And so I never had my opportunity to be elevated that year. And then we go to the playoffs still. We lose to Houston, and that was that. The next year, which was this past season, I had another good preseason this last year. And then obviously didn't make the team that year. And I was kind of confused, honestly, because I had a good preseason. I thought I did everything that was being needed to. They just went another direction. Right after that, signed with Cincinnati to their practice squad. And I was there for about 4 or 5 weeks. And then Aiden Hutchinson broke his leg. Detroit called me that next day, active roster, was playing there up until about week 14. Then, as you may also know, Joe, the Lions had a lot of injuries last year, like specifically defense,
An unreal amount.
It was crazy. And I touched on earlier, that game, Aleem McNeil, starting D tackle, towards ACL. Carlton Davis broke his jaw. Khalil Davis, a safety of ours, broke his leg. And David Montgomery tore his MCL, all in the same game. And then, at that point, they had to bring some guys in. I was the odd man out. Next day, Cincinnati called and assigned me to their active. So now I'm here, and I got 1 year left on this rookie contract, so I got to make the most of it.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say no doubt, but Cleveland. You know, obviously OU fans. We're Cleveland fans for a little bit. Everyone loves Baker.
Yeah.
I get my years. I don't know if there's where the crossover is, but what were you around for? Like when how all that went down? Like, was it weird? Like, you know, just because he led them. I don't know. He did so well for so long, and like kind of took them where they hadn't been, and then I don't know, and they just kind of decided to go elsewhere. And now he's killing it at the Bucks.
He is. And so Baker was gone right before I got to Cleveland. So I believe I got drafted to Cleveland, and then the news broke about them getting Deshaun. I don't know if it was before the draft or after, but all I know is I didn't get a chance to see Baker or be in the building at the same time as him physically. And, you know, me, OU guy, I was with Baker for a year, my freshman year, Joe. And then so I was like, dang, you know, I want to get a chance to, you know, be back with Baker and whatnot, knowing the leader he is, knowing what he's done for the Browns, you know what I'm saying? Playoff appearance, got that first win to break the losing streak and whatnot. You know, it was kind of confusing to me, but, you know, from the outside looking in, you know, people who weren't from Oklahoma or Sooners fans, they were like, oh, yeah, Deshaun, you know, because he was obviously playing great in Houston. And then obviously, you know, it didn't work out in what they thought it would. To, you know, as far as what they paid for. And then obviously you see Baker over there in the NFC South tearing it up. I'm like, wow, you know. And so it was kind of, you know, weird in a sense, like I was confused on why, but now seeing what Baker is, he's everything we knew that he is and was and whatnot. So now we're not surprised by it, but other people may be like, dang, like maybe, you know, but obviously we know what he is.
People know this, and you would know this way better than us, but it is kind of sometimes as simple as it's so much depends on your situation, whether the team is rebuilding, what's your offensive coordinator. I know Baker went through a number of offensive coordinators, I think a new one each year, and sometimes a head coach. And so it's just so much about your situation from year to year that kind of really makes you flourish. And so,
like you were saying, like just a million guys get hurt, and then like your opportunity, you know, it's like it could be there before the game started, and then afterwards, the outlook is just so much different.
Yeah, you guys definitely hit the nail on the head. Like, even to my career and testimony, like opportunities and situations, it matters so much. Like, you know, that's why like you hear those players who are content in a sense with their career because they did all that they could, you know, stuff that they couldn't control, that was out of their control, they're fine with because obviously, you know, it's out of your control. And, you know, when you do all that you can to prove that you deserve to be somewhere, that you've done enough to be where where you believe you should be, at the end of the day, it'll all work itself out. And for Baker, he is a walking testimony of that.
What's it kind of to that, because you got to go situation. What's it like being week from week, like last year, being on a practice squad and then going to an active squad and then eventually back to that team? And so what's it like going week to week, not knowing if you're going to be active or you're going to be on the practice squad or a suit out person? And so what's it like week to week, not even know if you're going to play in the game, essentially?
So it like my rookie year, specifically like my first 2 years, it was rough. Like even honestly, like I'm sure Jalen won't care. Jalen called me last year after he made the team, and he called me before their first game. I forgot against who, and he was like, he said, Zay, he said, I think I'm inactive this week and whatnot, because like he's like obviously on the roster, but like he just like you can 53 on the roster, but I think like 49 suit up, but I think he was one of those who wasn't suiting up. And he reminded me of myself, my rookie year. He was like, hey, like, does this mean anything? Like, you know, are they looking at somebody else to bring in? And I'm like, nah, bro, it's just a numbers thing. I was like, it could be who you guys are playing or whatnot, or just somebody, they're just waiting on their like personnel guy to get back on what they like to run. It's like, it can be a lot of different variables. And now in my career, like I just take it day to day because, you know, I put a lot of stress and whatnot on myself my rookie year, my second year, due to me trying to think of like the stuff that I couldn't control. And all I did, I just thought to myself, I was like, I can just do all I can. Like, I'm gonna know the playbook like the back of my hand. And when I practice, I'm gonna give them no reason to like trip at me, like especially when it comes to do with effort. You know, that's one thing that you do not want to get tripped out about. But outside of that, you know, my first 2 years, I was definitely like, you know, am I up this week? Am I down this week? Or why am I down this week? Oh, wait, am I not doing something right? Or are they looking to bring somebody else in? Or are they about to cut me? Like it's most guys who aren't, you know, the top 3 rounds will have that same thought process, you know, who hasn't, you know, really seen that side. But if you're like a first round guy, you're like, whatever. But other than that, that's definitely like how your mind races.
I know they released the availability report. I believe it's 90 minutes before kick. But when do they actually tell you? I don't know. When do they actually tell you if you're healthy, but if you're not, you could be inactive or not? When do they actually tell you that day?
So on a normal week, they'll let you know by Tuesday.
Okay.
Yeah, Tuesday or Wednesday on a normal week. If it's like a true like, hey, like our starting one of our like so usually like you'll have 4 defensive ends up and active on the game, and they'll like have 5 on the roster. So one guy will be down usually, and they're like, hey, like our left side end may be down this week, so like just stay ready, Then like Friday you might get that like, hey, you're up this week. He's not able to play. So in some situations you won't know till like Friday or so, but they'll let you know like, hey, be like practice as if you are playing, So, but on a normal week, if somebody's out, they're like, hey, like you're up this week, be ready for your like. So usually they'll let you know early in the week.
What was it? You mentioned first-round draft picks, and I just gotta wonder, what was it like learning from Miles Garrett, just being in the same building room with him every day? I mean, he's a freak of nature.
So that was, bro, that was my first starstruck moment. Like I was starstruck before I met him because he texted me on draft day. I couldn't believe
Pretty cool.
it.
Yeah,
And so Miles has always been like my like favorite guy to watch. Not because I want to mimic what he can do, because honestly I don't think anybody can. Like it's insane what he does. And so in high school I would get interviews and I was like, who's your favorite guy to watch? It was like Miles Garrett at Texas A&M, yada yada yada. And then I get to the league and I'm like, wow, the Browns, and he texts me. And then the first time I seen him, literally one of the first things he said, hey, just be yourself. He said, trust me. He said, don't look at it as into like you got to fill my shoes or try to be what I am. He said, be yourself. And I was like, oh, thank God. And then after that, man, he is a true like teacher, man. Like he's not one of those vets that you hear like guys like nah, vets don't care. They make you figure out on your own and all that. Like no, he will like come to my house if you need something. Like text me whenever. And he's truly just that guy. Like he'll like really be there for you at any time. Like he'll stop what he's doing, call you back or answer whenever. And it's unreal learning from in my opinion the best guy in the league.
No doubt. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
I guess
and
TJ Watt, but yeah. I mean,
yeah, in addition to what he has on the field, that's probably why the Browns made such a big priority of keeping him on contract this year, of what he provides to the organization and just the player he is.
Yeah.
Sure.
Good point off that is, you had a couple players drafted, then they had a few guys sign undrafted free agent agreements this past week. What's your advice to those guys, going forward into their first rookie mini camp and forward? Like, what's your advice? Kind of pay it forward.
Yeah, I would say don't look at the numbers. Specifically for my undrafted guys. Don't go in there counting, seeing where you fit in. Because I've seen a good amount in my career. I'm only going into my 4th year, but when I was in Cleveland, I seen 4 guys make the team who were undrafted. Throughout my 2 years there, so it's possible. And to mainly honestly do everything that you can to be noticed in a good way. Don't be that coach's pet, not that kind of way, but like stay after practice because that stuff does mean a lot. And, like do the extra, and do what's asked of not being asked. Like take extra notes. Be ready for those random pop quizzes or questions and stuff because that stuff matters. Because if a second round guy's in there, they'll like cut them some slack. And I'm just being honest, like, there's stuff that they get away with that you can't get away with. And that's truthful. And it sucks to hear, but it's just the reality of it because those guys, they sign those guys to a certain amount that they can't just let go to waste, and it's just different on the other side of it. So honestly, don't go in there kind of seeing you where you belong. Just honestly be yourself, but like stand out in a positive way. Like, I'm not going to say you're going to make every play that comes your way, but, when that opportunity comes, please make the most of it and take care of your bodies first and foremost, because I've also seen undrafted guys who got hurt and I've never seen them again. Like it's a sad reality of it because I was fortunate to get drafted. And like I said, my 2nd year I got hurt, but they still kept me on the roster. And but I also seen guys, that I can think of off the top of my head who playing great during camp. Undrafted guy pulled his hammy out for 2 weeks. Never seen him again. I was like, damn. So take care of your body. Don't go in there counting, seeing where you fit in. And honestly, bro, just keep God first always. But that football is your job. So any outside distractions, please just put it to the side.
Luckily, I mean, I was gonna say, luckily a lot of those guys have played a lot of ball, so hopefully, going into it. But OU's gonna, OU now we're gonna need some guys to step up, without Danny, without Billy, without Ethan. Anybody you got your eye on? Is it Robert Spears-Jennings? He's a Tulsa guy like you. Is it who on the D line? Kind of just, I don't know if how much you keep up, but.
No, yeah, Spears-Jennings for sure. I'm glad you mentioned that he's a Tulsa guy. And R. Mason, he's still there, right?
Yeah, R. Mason, he came back.
I love R. Mason Thomas, boy. And I promise it's not because of the last name. I promise. I love R. Mason Thomas. Like him, I really feel like he can step into that role and be an enforcer and a wrecking crew. Seeing the games last year, man, I think he had 8.5 or 9.
Yep.
9. I can't remember the exact number, but I remember just watching them that Auburn game and just late games in that season. I was really impressed. And I just think if he ties it all together, he can have that same impact early in the game. And then he can really make a name for himself, bro. Like guys like him and Robert Spears-Jennings for sure. And I see guys like him all the time, man, just I don't want to say trying to see like what role they have on the team, but I look at myself and I remember when I was coming into that leadership role when Ronnie Perkins left, when he left and stuff. And I was like, well, they're like looking for that leader. And I in a way, I know they want me to be that guy, but I just wasn't ready yet. So I think I was ready. I just was telling myself that I wasn't, And so for guys like R. Mason and Robbie Spears, I feel like those guys can really take that role and run with it if they really want to.
Yeah, he had 9 sacks last year. And he's kind of what his ability to do and kind of close games. He was kind of closer, for pitching, for baseball. You throw him in the fourth quarter and he was just a step faster every single time.
Yeah, kind of like Nick. I don't know. Nick would randomly make that much needed play, like the pick against Baylor.
Interception.
Those type of guys.
Nick's a great guy. Yeah. We actually met on the show. It's been unbelievable what he's been able to do in the league and what he's become. Similar to Jay Red, similar to a lot of guys, just kind of ascend forward into their career. I tell you one last thing. I want to talk about. I know your involvement in Tulsa. 918 is really close to your heart. Talk a little bit about, I know you're involved there in the community a little bit, and just talk about a little bit about your efforts and your love for Tulsa.
Yeah, I love Tulsa. Actually, today I was getting treatment, and I have 918 made tattooed on my arm. And one of the trainers never seen it. They was like, 918, where's that? And I was like, Tulsa, man, Black Wall Street, man. I was like the second capital of Oklahoma, all that stuff, raving about it. And it means a lot to me being from Tulsa, obviously. Just for one, the history of it, specifically the Black cultural history of it, it means so much to me. And then the community that I come from, it means a lot for me to give back to those people who are kind of having that same upbringing, specifically the boys club. I still give back. I still go see them. I think I seen them. The last time I seen them was late January, early February. So about twice a year, I'll see them, once in the spring, and I'll go back again in the summer. And then I just go to my high school or Broken Arrow High School because my D-line coach who coached me in high school is now at Broken Arrow. And so if I always go back and give little tidbits and give them examples on my career because I see guys there who are just as big as me, if not bigger, who have all the technique and all that stuff there. They just got to put it all together. And it just means so much to me to give back because, that I give them hope because they hear about my background. They see me, they hear my story, and they're like, wow, I can do the same thing that you did, if not more. And I want that for them. I really do. And especially for my high school specifically, because me and the other guy the last person drafted from my high school other than me was somebody in 1986 or so like that. And so it means a lot to me to be able to stay home and give back whenever I'm there because I'm there a lot of the time during the off season. So whenever I can, man, I'm always doing something, that benefits others that are teenagers and whatnot. So this summer, I'm also doing a camp, hopefully with Trey Brown if he's able to do it, and give back in that way as well.
Yeah, I think it's really cool that you do show face and you do all that you can because it's easy to hear it, and those kids probably think that their coaches just tell everyone that. But when you actually show up and really involve yourself, it definitely probably goes the distance for them.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I always tell my D-line coach, and I love that he uses me for an example. He'll just tell his guys such and such. He'll so sometimes he takes it too far. He'll be like, matter of fact, he coming up here tomorrow. I'm like, Coach, I'm in Dallas. But other than that, I'll be like, yeah, I'll be up there. Then I showed up twice this year to Broken Arrow to talk to him, and he'll just say my testimony for him. He was like, Didn't start his first game till his third year at Oklahoma. Got his first offer after his jump, like all this and like saying all this, and they're like, wow, like. And then I like back it up. I'm like, it's true. Like, you know, he coached me. I believed in what he did. Known him since I was 14, and everything just took off from there. So it means a lot because, like you said, showing face means a lot more than just hearsay. Because me at that age, if I seen somebody in my position and seen him talking to me with the same background, I'd be like, okay, just that little, just something like that could just get that one person over the edge or over the hump.
Cool stuff.
Yeah.
IT, you're the man. Appreciate you coming on.
Thank you guys. I appreciate you guys, man, for real.
Yeah, thanks.
For everybody watching, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. That helps us help you. And we'll catch you next week with another edition of The Family Business. Remember to keep in the family.